That's two! Hit him, Stoop! Hit him!
The kids are down. Wife's asleep.
So in 4 hours, you drank 15 Busch Lights.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at 8 o'clock, that's when you checked out and your wife had to deal with you.
Night time.
Night time.
Yeah.
Crack a beer. Pour a bourbon. It's After Dark. On ESPN Louisville Plus. Subscribe and smash that freaking like button. Now here's Justin Soforo.
Sofuro. How do you
Soforo.
say Sofuro? No, it's fur. It's fur, not four. That's why it's fur, man.
Soforo.
There you go.
I mean, it's the same thing.
Sofuro. I don't know. Sofuro? Sephoro, my bad. No, Sofuro.
Here's Justin Soforo.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back in to another edition of After Dark here on ESPN Louisville Plus. I'm your guy, Justin Soforo. If you haven't already, make sure you get subscribed to the YouTube channel. Join us on the YouTube channel over here, youtube.com/ I think it's at ESPN Louisville. That's where we want to bring a lot of people over, try to bring you a lot more content. And we're going to have some content that's only going to be on the platform here on ESPN Louisville Plus on YouTube. Joining me today, my man, Dwight Young, suffering Kentucky football fan. I don't know. Every time I say that, every time I throw that out at you, you kind of been like, oh, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm actually okay with it. Everything's good. It doesn't even bother me. I'm not even worried about it.
Well, you would not have gotten that reaction if I was able to join last week, because I was truly in a mess last week. And so I'm really upset I wasn't able to join last week, because that was one of the more depressing moments as a UK football fan, just because South Carolina, you think, okay, at home, that's a must win. Like if you want a 7-win season, you got to take care of business against South Carolina at home. And not just did we lose, we got spanked. And so, everyone had Georgia as a loss. Am I wrong? Like everyone had Georgia as a loss. So it's hard to be like shocked and saddened about losing to Georgia. But after the South Carolina loss, when you really needed a statement win, losing by one, the way we lost, I'm not happy. I'm sad. I'm depressed. So, no, I am suffering. I'm suffering. There's a shred of light. I will say the fact that we were competitive, there's a shred of light that maybe we're not quite as bad as I thought we were after
It's a
South
world
Carolina.
of a difference from a week ago, from how you would have conceptualized the entire Kentucky football fan experience.
But I am still, and we can talk about, the remaining schedule later. I'm still I went from thinking we're going to have 7 wins preseason to I'm thinking we're going to have 5 still. I don't think we're going bowling, but it would have been such a nice win. That would have been the crown jewel for Mark Stoops. He doesn't have, everyone points to Rich Brooks. He has those great upsets, but he never had great seasons necessarily. But he had some very key wins. The LSU win, right? They were number 1. This would have been Mark Stoops' signature win. So it is sad. It's depressing.
Hear me out. Here's the issue that I had. And speaking of that victory that Rich Brooks had, Papa Brooks had back in the day, beating LSU, pretty monumental win, probably, would you say, the biggest win in Kentucky football history? I think at this point right now.
At least in my lifetime. I don't think it's debatable in my lifetime. Like that had to have been the number 1.
And speaking of that, I was doing the show. If you guys haven't already seen it, make sure you tune in every Friday. I'm going to have that up in the corner. I'm over there during their show, making sure that I'm whoring out my show as well for the After Dark we do here on Sundays. It's been, I think this is 3 weeks in a row, guys. 3 weeks in a row. We're doing it at 9 p.m. now. Dwight and I hanging out last week. My guy Jinky joined in with us, but every Friday on the ESPN Louisville channel. You can find it on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff. Strebel hosts a college football preview. And this week we had Tarullo and Matt McGavick joining us. But last week we had Justin Jeffries, who played for Kentucky during that time in that win against LSU as an offensive lineman. But both he, Strebel, and Max Godby, all three of them were very, very obviously everybody's not expecting UK to come in and win this game against Georgia. But that South Carolina game, they were getting a little bit chesty, saying about bum Beamer, about how they have to go out and beat Beamer, and they're going to beat him, and they're not worried about Beamer. And then right now you got Beamer laying 3 on you right now. No wins for Stoops, and that I don't want to call it a rivalry, but dealing with that, there's something there that Beamer has against Stoops. But the reason I bring that up,
and you know what, and just to piggyback on that point, does it also not seem like, obviously Stoops has not been beating Kirby Smart, but does it not feel like, for whatever reason, Kirby just does not beat the hell out of UK like he does other teams? It's just super weird how, like, Beamer beats Stoops. Obviously, Stoops is not beating Smart, but he's always given Georgia a weirdly tough game. Like the last 3 seasons or so, it's been a 1-possession game. So it's very strange.
I appreciate you bringing up that point because, one, I'm going to take a little bit of a victory lap right now because on the College Football Friday preview show, when we were doing a little bit of the preview of what's going to happen with Kentucky and with LSU, I said, me personally spoke up, a little chesty, and said, I don't know where you guys are believing that Georgia is just going to blow out Kentucky. Because Kirby Smart doesn't do that to Kentucky. He's done it like once. I think one time have you ever seen a big win? And the reason for that is because Kirby, they're friends.
Because they're buddies.
Yeah, they're actually friends back in the day. But this was a little bit different. I didn't feel like this. I never felt like at this point right now, with this game, with Kirby Smart and with Mark Stoops, I didn't feel like it was Kirby Smart was just going easy on Stoops at any point in this game. Stoops had him in this game. Stoops had a good game plan. The defense showed up. And, of course, also, I wonder, and I don't know, is this a dumb take to say maybe being that Brock Vandagriff had played there, or, played for Georgia, he knows the system. He knows what they're doing. Maybe he could give them a little bit of insight going into this week, and as well as maybe on the sideline there.
I did not have that thought, but I had a thought in a similar vein where it was, I almost felt like, is Kirby Smart just telling his players, hey, don't hurt this guy. He was your teammate. Don't kill him. So I didn't think it was Vandagriff knowing any inside out information about Georgia, but I almost wondered if Kirby was like, hey guys, don't absolutely murder this guy. He used to be on our team, because it did feel like, and we're going to get into the offensive line issues, but it felt like Georgia could have murdered Vandagriff 1,000 times, and for whatever reason, they just kept missing tackles. They missed tackle after tackle, because it felt like when I watched the first quarter, even though UK was winning 3-0, I was like, Vandagriff's not going to make it through this game. Like, he's going to leave in a stretcher. But that's not what happened.
And that's what, kind of going off what you were saying, Cardinal Companion chimes in and says he's going to understand defensive schemes going against it in practice so regularly. So I do feel like it at least gave him a little bit more insight that he could impart into, his current teammates at Kentucky. But I did say this. As much as he got hit, and I'll give Brock Vandagriff some credit. He played pretty tough in that game, especially taking some of those hits he did. But it did feel like, I think I said something along the lines of, every single sack was kind of like a hug from a former teammate. It was just kind of like a little bit of a hug, little hug to get him down on the ground. And I never really felt like they were roughing him up too much, though he played a hell of a game. Guys, if you haven't already, do me a solid favor. I forgot to say this. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. Okay, you texted me. We can just do this on here. You're saying the audio's pretty bad in your headphones. Is it? Do I need to turn me down?
My headphones are going nuts as you're talking.
Are you all? Anybody who's watching this, is it too loud on my end? How's that? Am I turning it down? Does that sound better? No, still bad.
It might be my problem. It might be in my headphones. So
yeah, because I have everything that's coming through and everything seems fine on me. Have you tried unplugging and plugging it back in? We tried the old tried and true tech support there. Anyway,
all right.
Well, yeah, Cardinal Companion says it both sounds good on his end, so it might be your unfortunate interface there. So let's see. I'm gonna let him work on that real quick. You know what? I'm just gonna skip into it and let's get into it while Dwight's figuring that out. I want to give my take and my personal opinion. I think we've kind of seen it here. 1057 has been down since yesterday. Oh yeah. Well, thank you, Lisa. I will make sure to let people know that. I mean, they have to be aware, right? I imagine. I remember Jason Anderson used to have to go and check out that the rig they have out there with that. But anyway, I appreciate you letting me know. Anyway, as we get into this, one of the things that I have is, and how the way I've perceived this and the way that I found it is that most Kentucky fans aren't nearly as upset as I am. And I kind of get that feeling. Dwight, you kind of do that a lot. That's how I kind of opened it a little bit, where when it comes to football, it doesn't feel like you don't get as frustrated with Stoops as I do. And even though I'm a Louisville fan.
I am very frustrated. And again, I know that the vast majority of this conversation is going to come down to UK's second to last drive, the last real drive, right?
Yeah.
That is, if you had told me UK loses the Georgia game by 1 point, right? Like, I would have said, hey, we played well. Like, I would be content. I'm not content because of how that last drive was handled. That was a mismanaged drive. And we can debate the punt, not punt, but it's goes more than that. But I will get into it. I do want to say, just as a little side note, for any bourbon junkies in here, I myself am a bourbon enthusiast. A little wrinkle I want to throw into the show. You guys tell me if you hate it, you like it. I'm going to try to drink and highlight a different bourbon. I went with Bardstown Bourbon Company's new Discovery Series 12. I thought it was appropriate given UK scoring 12 points. So that's what we're going with this. What we're going with this week. If you ever get a chance to get this bottle, it's actually not super allocated, but I would say go down and get it. It's incredible. So if any bourbon junkies are in here, let me know if you've had it, what you think, or if I should just drink in silence. So, but no, let's get in. I mean, I want to hear why you're so upset. Like, I'm not as upset as you are, only because I was so down in the dumps after South Carolina that like all hope and expectation had already been drained from my body.
Yeah.
This would have obviously brought me back to life, but I am still dead. So it's hard to like kill someone who's already dead. All right,
here we go. I got to warm back up. I got to be honest, because I guys, Tri-State Men's Health, I'm still trying to get that support from them. But if you need not that way, Double J's in here right now. Justin Jeffries joining us back this Friday. I look forward to my man. Good to see you there. We missed you definitely on the last show. It still was a good show, but of course we're always missing you. But anyway, to get it back up a little bit right now, I had it last night. I was listening to the post-game show, and I'm like, come on, guys. Some of you guys have to be more frustrated. If I'm a Louisville fan, and I can sit here right now, and I'm pissed off at Stoops. And the reason I'm pissed off, because I think this is the single worst coaching decision, a mistake that he made in his time at Kentucky. And the reason is, and I get it, I understand, you're going against Georgia. You gave them all you could. You can go. People can be upset about the conservative play calling for a majority of the game, but the majority of the game, conservative play calling is what kept them in the game. So I understand it in that moment. But when you're left, the final 3 minutes of that game, 3 minutes left, and you're playing against the number one team in the country, and right now, what I perceive as being the next, I think we're in the midst of a Georgia dynasty right now. Yes, they didn't win the championship last year, but they've already got two. I'm expecting them to make a run for a third one this season. Like now that Nick Saban's gone, Georgia is the powerhouse that we have. Can we agree on that right now? That's the team you're looking at.
I would say they are the front runner. I think it's going to be extremely difficult for them to be what Alabama was, and the reason I say because of the SEC expanding to where you're going to be playing just an absolutely brutal schedule in and out. Like I expect Georgia to be in the playoffs year in, year out. I don't know if I expect them to be in the championship year in, year out like you did for Alabama. Like when Alabama was at its peak, you could circle them into the championship game every year. So I agree with you. I think that they are the gold standard at the moment. I don't know if I would call them a dynasty yet. I think they would need to rattle off at least a couple more championships until I would put them in that same category as Alabama was.
That's fine. The way I look at it right now, and the way that I look at what Georgia is during his entire tenure at what is it his entire? Yeah, it is his entire tenure now at Georgia. He's lost twice.
Yep.
And both of those losses have been to Nick Saban. Saban, the emperor Nick Saban. You're going to tell me you had a chance, you had an opportunity for the University of Kentucky to come out and add Saban, Buttermilk Stoops. Buttermilk Mark Stoops could have been the guy to give him his third loss at the University of Georgia, and you missed out. And I think not only did you miss out on that, you missed out on what I potentially believe could be the greatest win in Kentucky football history. And that's why I'm pissed off, because I think right now, the one thing you can take, and I understand why a lot of UK people, and I was talking with a lot today, I was giving takes at church. We were talking Jesus, but then I was also talking about Kentucky football there. There's a lot of Kentucky fans that go to Sojourn J-Town, but I was rattling off takes about, like, how are you all not more pissed? And I understand the state of Kentucky football, of where it's been, and what the realistic Kentucky fan will tell me of what their expectations for the program is. But when Mark Stoops this is the game where Mark Stoops would be paid $9 million, and I would say he'd be finally worth $9 million if he wins that game. If you show up and win that game, that's why he'd be worth getting paid $9 million. And going off of that, I just can't imagine, because let me just, like, they were throwing some stats out there. I apologize. I forgot the people who tweeted these out. But in that moment, with 3 minutes left to play and deciding to punt on 4th and 8. Obviously, you could go back a play and say the biggest mistake he did actually was not running the ball when you could trust Kentucky's running game. And at least
you could go back two plays. You could go back 2 plays. But let's because I know we're going to talk about punt, don't punt. I'm
effing livid about the punt. Like that, I have no idea how pissed I am about that punt.
Well, let's back up, because I was not happy with the punt. So I'm going to agree with you. He should not have punted there. But however, I was way more upset with 2nd and 8, 3rd and 8. All right, so watching the game, what was UK's biggest weakness? What has been their biggest weakness this season? What would you say?
Their offensive line?
There you go.
Yeah.
Offensive line, right? So first, 2nd and 8, we're on Georgia's side of the field with 3 minutes left. We're in the perfect opportunity to milk the clock all the way down and kick a field goal. Yeah. Honestly, you get one more first down there, you're probably going to be able to try a field goal. 2nd and 8, play action. Play action, you have to be able to block for a bit. So we run a play action, gets batted down. 3rd and 8, we have a drop back pass where he doesn't even have a look.
Right.
So the fact that you run 2 consecutive plays that are not high percentage plays that give your quarterback, you have to have time as a quarterback to get those plays off regardless. So why would you put your quarterback in a position where he's not going to have time? Because your offensive line is garbage. Yeah. So I feel like if the biggest mistake was going from 2nd and 8 and not just getting 3 yards, not getting, because at least when if you're 4th and 2, 4th and 3, it's a no-brainer. I think even Stoops doesn't F that up. Stoops would even have gone for it there. So why put yourself in a position? Because I know that announcers, I remember in 3rd and 8 last night, the announcers even said, we'll see what they do here, try to get it, 4th and manageable, because I don't think that they'll go for it on 4th and 8. So even the announcers didn't think that they would go for it 4th and 8. Yeah. So it was what would led up to it is what really is pissing me off, is because we didn't put ourselves in even a position to have a 4th and manageable. It makes no sense. And it just, the play calling of putting your offensive line, who has gotten absolutely trash all game, and saying, hey, go block for a play action, go block for a downfield pass. Just so stupid, such a mismanaged, messed up opportunity.
That's fine with me, and I guess if we go back through the game, we can nitpick piece by piece every little thing that happened. Can we both agree at this point? I've seen some people fill their diaper a little bit online about the argument that they've given, and I think most people are reasonable in saying that overturned pick 6 was the right call. If you watch the game, it was slowed down enough. I see his hand here. I see the ball down here. It's not a catch. And at that point, you have to. It's unfortunate for Kentucky, but you have to call that back. I've seen a lot of people getting upset.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, that's fine, because I've seen enough people that were just shocking me with how upset they were about well, you see, that play would have been allowed by so and so, whatever. And I'm like, man, I don't know that I can recall a time that they really allowed that. I mean, you know what I mean? Anyway, so that frustrated me.
But can we agree? Let's, because I know we're going to talk about the punt. I do think that You're
trying to stall me for the punt. I'm going to talk the punt.
Hold on. I want to make sure that you are on my side. I want to make sure you're on my side.
Okay.
Though, because I do think, and I think it's a losing argument. I do think that there is an argument to be made that punting the ball there could be the right call. I don't think it's the right decision.
I will not. I don't. I can't be swayed. I can't be swayed.
Can we agree?
No.
What do you don't even know what I'm saying. You're cutting me off. Shut up. Can we agree that he really set himself up for failure? Like, let's say they go on. Let's say that they went for it on 4th and 8, didn't get it. Okay. Can we agree that 2nd and 8 and 3rd and 8 were really just miserable play calls? Like the fact that we're doing a play action pass and then a drop back pass for your quarterback when your offensive line has gotten destroyed all game. Those two plays, regardless of if you go for it on 4th and 8, put you in a position to fail. It puts you in a bad spot. When you were on their side of the field, you just need 1 first down to milk the clock and try a field goal. So can we agree with that? And then we'll talk punt.
Yes, we can come to a consensus that the play calling leading up to the 4th down, it was miserable. It was horrendous. And there were some parts too. I said it early in the game, and I get it when you're worried about your head getting taken off by your former teammates. At this point, you're going to be a little shaky, right? Especially with some of your decision making. But there were multiple moments I saw during that game where Brock Vandegrift, and he's going to be a problem because some of his decision making, but also his field vision to me is terrible. Like, he is a wide open man. I can't remember the exact play, but I remember wide open on the right, running free, and he doesn't even make the motion to move his head an inch over to see him.
He's seen ghosts.
He's seen ghosts.
Because in his head, pre-snap in his head, he's thinking, I have 0.75 seconds to get this ball off. And so in the event that he actually does get time and could actually like read a progression and see someone downfield, he's already decided in his head, like, this ball has to leave my hands in the next, like, under a second or else I'm getting drilled.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to blame him when I know that he feels the heat. You know, he's feeling that pressure. And
it was a first half issue, and I understand it was early in the game before they had. I struggle to say ever settle in against a team like Georgia, but they did settle in eventually once they realized that this was going to be an old school SEC football game. It was, you know what I mean?
Which is wild to me that Georgia scored 13 points against Kentucky. That is insane to me. And for those that want to know just how big of a loser I truly am, I was checking the old FanDuel app, and then when UK went up 9-3, I saw Georgia was favored by 1.5 points. That was it. And I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking, this is perfect for me. I'm like, I make this bet, and either UK has the best win under Mark Stoops, maybe the best win in my entire life, which I'm glad to lose money if that happens. So happy. Or I win money. So win-win.
Yeah.
Of course they lose by 1 point. Of course. Yeah. That's exactly how my life works. So just a little side note, if you're wondering how big of a loser I am, I lost in 2 different ways that night.
You found multiple facets of the game that you could lose in during that.
I lost money and I lost the game. It's hard to do.
Leading into this is a build-up for me, but leading into it, a couple comments. I saw, and that's what I was going to read off the statistic. According to ESPN Analytics, Kentucky had a 34% chance to win if they went for it on 4th down. Kentucky had a 12% chance to win if they punted in that situation. Following on that, also Stoops in the post-game presser said on the 4th down decision to punt, I don't regret punting that ball. Explains that he did not want to risk failing to convert and having UGA pen UK deep if it were to get a stop. That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. That you're just worried. You're worried multiple possessions down the line. Not that UGA is going to go and score because of the field position you gave them, but because if you got to stop then, because you have the confidence in your defense, and that's great. That's great. He's Youngstown tough. That's what he likes to say. So he believes in his defense. He thinks they're going to get a stop. And they did end up getting a stop eventually, but it wasn't a 3 and out. And then my biggest issue is it's multifaceted. And the reason I say it is because I feel like you built up a little bit of confidence in your offense. Like, you have to imagine, no matter what, even though you're not putting a ton of points on the you're not scoring a touchdown, but at the same time, if you with what they were able to do during that game, they had to at least be feeling a little bit more confident in your offense, especially in Brock Vandegrift. It's Vandegrift, not Vandergrift, and it bothers me every single time I try to say it. Yeah. Vandegrift. But anyway, the fact that he was able to move it up and down the field a little bit, and yes, there is a lot of it had to do with the running game, but the fact that you decide in the final minutes of the game, 3 minutes of the game, instead of going out there and giving him a shot to make something happen and to get you in field goal range to try to win that game, you decide, I don't trust you. I don't trust the offense. I don't trust anybody on the offense. And again, I think a lot of it's on his play calling.
And I don't either. I don't trust the offense at all. And do you know what's funny is I would have gone for it on 4th and 8 for that exact reason. I would have gone for it on 4th and 8 at that spot because I don't trust my offense. Because in my opinion, let's say you get a 3 and out. Okay. Even if you get a 3 and out, Georgia punts the ball. They're still going to punt the ball to UK's side of the field.
Yeah.
I don't think UK gets back to that position that they were in at 4th and 8. So in my opinion, I think our offense is so bad, and it is because our O-line is so bad, that like this is the best chance you are going to have. Even if you get a 3 and out, you get the ball back. You have not been moving the ball that easily. So like I almost feel like because I don't trust, like I feel like if Stoops does not trust the offense, which he probably doesn't, you go for it there. That is your best chance to actually get in field goal range and kick this field goal. So I don't know. I mean, I think you think that, oh, this sent a message to the offense that I don't trust you. I don't know. I don't know if I feel that. I don't know if I feel that way. I almost feel like he's showing confidence in his defense that he probably shouldn't. But again, I would have gone for it there because I don't have confidence in the offense. I don't trust us getting the ball back, even if we got it back on the 35, the 40. I don't think we get it back across Georgia's side of the field. Yeah, that was your chance. That's your chance to actually again. You threw out the percentages. What was it, like 32% chance if we go for it? Yeah,
yeah, something like that. 34-12. Yeah, 34% and 12%. If they know,
that. You take that. Like if you tell me that UK has a 34% chance to beat Georgia, you take those odds and you roll the dice. It was a cowardly decision. Again, I think the worst decisions he made were in 2nd and 8, 3rd and 8. But 4th and 8 was just coward. It was chicken shit. It was cowardly. It was a bummer way to lose too, because you could just I don't know any rational UK fan that truly felt the UK was going to get the ball back with any substantial amount of time. Like when we punted that ball, I feel like every rational UK fan was like, cool, we're just going to get to watch Georgia. We're just going to get to watch Georgia just literally like milk the clock. This is going to be such a depressing way to lose.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's my problem here right now. I think so much of what's fueling my frustration, and it's weird as a Louisville fan, right? My frustration for Kentucky fans is not even the game scenario. It's the bigger picture of what this all means. So like,
and I want to say just real quick in the comments, Alan here says, and you got a kicker kicking 50. We have a great.
Oh, Alan, sorry, you're reading
we got a great kick. We do. He's making a good point. We were one first down away from being in field goal range. You know what I mean? Like it's not like we needed to move the ball much further. Yeah. So it came down to really getting that first down. So that hurts because we were that freaking close, and it was just like a stale fart way to in the game. Such a bummer.
Yeah, Bubba Nero says Stoops is eating a lot of shit, rightfully so, but Butch Hamden isn't getting nearly enough right now. Here's the problem. When you come right at this point right now, you can give Butch as much is it Butch or that was Bush? Is it Bush? I don't know. I've heard people say both. Anyway, whatever. You can give him as much crap as you want, but here's one thing when you come to be an offensive coordinator for Mark Stoops is he doesn't even want to use you. He doesn't even want to use the offense. If he could, he would win every game on defensive touchdowns. If it was possible. If it was possible to never even, to outside of using you all, kind of similar to Charlie Strong, if he could just kind of put a team out there just to give him some rest for the defense to get out there, he would do it. Because he loves his defense, and he would rather not. I don't want to do anything pretty. I don't want to open it up a little bit. I don't want to get anybody excited. Don't turn you on a little bit. He doesn't want to do that. He just wants to. I guess you can say
Cohen would do it, and I don't know. Maybe that's partly why Cohen and Stoops didn't get along.
Yeah, that's why he's gone.
But when Cohen came here, he changed that. Like he had a nice, inventive offense that was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Now, did we have the offensive line to actually run the stuff he wanted to run? No. But I feel like Stoops at least made a good hire there. I wish we could bring back that. But I think currently we are running the Stoops preferred offense, which is ground and pound, muck it up. Let's get into like a field position war. It's not fun to watch, especially when you have an offensive line that looks like ours. So hopefully he'll see the light of day and get a new offensive coordinator. But again, I don't know how much it's going to actually matter until you fix the offensive line. And that was a Stoops calling card too, right? Like if you're going to play that style of football, like you want to play this big boy ground and pound. Big boy football.
Big boy football. We always talk about it. Yeah.
It starts at the line. So if you have a bad line, you can't run the kind of offense he wants to run.
Yeah. And he's been really, he's been very well known for in the trenches. The trenches has been his specialty since coming to Kentucky. They've always been good. This is as bad as they've been as this season.
Correct.
Defense,
I do think the defense showed itself to be better. That if you want to take a silver lining from this, it was that the defense is actually pretty good. Like if you actually go back and watch the South Carolina game, the defense was good for like 90% of the time. But then they would just have an absolute brain fart and like lose coverage on a guy.
Yeah.
And like that's not a sign of your defense is bad. It's just a missed assignment type of situation, which you can clean that up. So I do think there's a small bright line there that, okay, our defense actually is not bad. It's actually pretty damn good if you can hold Georgia to 13.
Yeah.
But I don't know if our defense is good enough to make up for how poor our offensive line is and how poor, like you said, Brock's field vision is. I don't think the defense can get us to I don't think our defense can get us to the 6-7 wins we really want, unfortunately.
Yeah. I still pick. I was working through that today. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Let's wait. We haven't gotten there yet. But the Garnet Yardbird says a little commentary from South Carolina fans. UK is the only team in the SEC with 2 conference losses and is dead last in the SEC standings. South Carolina fans hope y'all extend Stoops again. We need the wins. Coming from a Gamecock fan. I guess at this point, there's not a lot that UK fans can say, especially being the first team to ever be in 16th place in the league. So that was a fun little. It's stupid, but it's fun. I have fun with it at least. We'll move on.
I don't have much to say about that. I mean, I do think Stoops is a good coach. I don't think UK, if we moved again, I'm very upset about his decision making. I am beside myself on how he handled that last drive. However, do we really think the UK can get an actual coach that's better than Stoops? Like, I don't. I truly don't. I don't think that we can find a coach that will be consistently above 6 win, beat Louisville. Again, we may lose to Louisville this year, but beat Louisville for the most part. He takes rivalries seriously, which you'd love to see. It sucks, but there is a ceiling at UK. And I think that Stoops gets us about as close to that ceiling as any coach we will actually get, especially in the SEC, where you're just gonna have murderers row every single year.
Here's the problem, and I guess my issue with that is, I think it's all a mentality thing. Yes, it's easy to say there's a ceiling at Kentucky, and maybe there is, and maybe that's why Stoops goes, and maybe I'll look at this season. I see here. I'll just use this example for now. Bubba Nero said that he's destined to be the head coach at Iowa. I mean, the system would fit at Iowa, obviously, and he played at Iowa. So, yes, it would fit. Maybe he goes to Iowa, and the next thing you know, Iowa's a powerhouse, right? Maybe,
No.
but I doubt
Not
that,
maybe.
right?
No.
But that's kind of my point. Is do you expect Mark Stoops to take the system that he runs here at Kentucky and go somewhere else and do better? If he were at Texas A&M right now, yes, maybe he'd be doing better than the great value brand Mark Stoops that they already got there when the fans there revolted against Mark Stoops and they got a lesser coach. I mean, that's my personal belief. They got a lesser coach there, even though what he was able to do at Duke, being that it's Duke, was impressive. Do we believe that Mark Stoops, if he leaves Kentucky, that he can do better? Because if the answer is no, then no, I think Kentucky has a higher ceiling than what Mark Stoops is offering. And I think what you need is sometimes you've seen it happen at Louisville. It's a little bit different because right now Louisville was able to progress in conference a little bit rather than just being in the SEC the entire time. You were able to have the John L. Smiths. You were able to have, I guess if we want to go back further, you could have the Lee Corsos, the Howard Schnellenbergers, and then get into the John L. Smiths, the Bobby Petrinos, Charlie Strongs, and so on and so forth. We're still to see if Louisville, what the ceiling is for Louisville long term anyway. But at least we talked about the option that they have out there is because they're not playing the SEC. They don't have to look down their schedule like Kentucky has to do. They don't have number 5 Ole Miss or whatever. I didn't even see the rankings out today.
We're gonna play the new number 1 Texas.
Is Texas number 1? Did they move up?
Now number 1, yeah. So
I saw in the AP poll, right? I'm guessing
we can play the number 1 team twice in the same season. So
which,
that's
you
sweet.
You get to be happy about that, row, right? Like Kentucky kind of helped Texas get to there. I mean, it's fine. You can admit that you like Texas. It's okay to do that.
Texas is my side chick. If I'm being honest, but it is like night and day when you're considering my fandom. Like Texas is very much the side chick. UK is.
You don't live and die with Texas, but
I don't live and die with Texas. No.
Yeah,
but
and and that's fine. I think the issue I have is yes, obviously. Jeff Brom at Louisville doesn't have to open up the schedule and look at number 5. I'm going to say numbers, and it's the numbers they were, but number 5 Ole Miss, whatever number Tennessee is, like 7 or something like that. Having to play Texas, number 2 or number 1 Texas now, and like looking at that schedule is daunting as hell. But at the same time, and this is where I come back, and I'm sorry, we're keep trying to move it along, but there's a part that I want to get onto. And here's just, let me have the soapbox real quick, okay? Here's my biggest problem with the Stoops issue of not going for it on 4th down. And my biggest problem is not have to do with the game specifically, but what specifically that game means for Kentucky fans. And I know some Kentucky fans, you may do the same thing. When I say this, you may roll your eyes at this. But me as a Louisville fan, one thing I can point to, while you have Mark Stoops, who has been probably the best coach you've had at the university and has been able to accomplish things that people have not been able to accomplish before outside of Rich Brooks against in that one season with LSU. I mean, he had other moments. But
season? I mean, that has been always my argument, and I'll let you continue your soapbox, but that's always been my argument when people
I guess
are like,
the vacated 2021 season? Oh, are you talking about Rich Brooks?
Like,
okay, sorry.
My argument whenever someone's like, "Oh, Rich Brooks," and don't get me wrong, I liked Rich Brooks a lot. Like
it's a moment and not a big picture.
Yes, it was moments that were amazing. He had the newspaper front news of the newspaper wins, right? Like the classic wins of the "where were you" moments.
Yeah, but
the seasons weren't great. Like the seasons, he lost a lot of stinkers. He never really had these seasons where you can be like, "Oh man, that's when UK was on top of the SEC." Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, again, it's an argument of, do you value the moments more, or do you value the consistency and the overall resume of the season? Which I think Stoops did a better job than Brooks as far as consistently hard-nosed football that won games. But go ahead.
And this is where I kind of come with it, and it's my biggest problem is, at least with Louisville, you had those moments in those seasons. Like you look back at 2000, again, I'm going back to 2006, but to me, that is the best season we've had so far. Like if Louisville doesn't piss their pants against Rutgers, they're probably playing for and potentially winning a national title, because I think Louisville beats that Ohio State team. Florida went out there and did it. Florida was a very good team, but I think Louisville, especially if you had a healthy Michael Bush, there's a lot of ifs there, but really, even without Michael Bush, I still think they'd probably go out there and win that game. I think they could win a title if it weren't for the Rutgers game. But at the same time, that season, which was still a really great season, you had the West Virginia game, which was one of those peak moments, one of those big-time moments, a big-time showdown with a top-5 opponent, and you can kind of look to that and point to that of being a moment where you felt this what I don't know what if you want to call it swelling in your chest. It may be heart disease. I don't know what it is, but it's excitement against a top-tier opponent, a moment that you can point back to. Everybody knows when you say the blackout game of Louisville. Everybody knows when you look back at Louisville talking about beating Florida in the Sugar Bowl and stuff like that, even though, retrospect, Florida was Florida, but again, you saw where Florida ended up years down the line. My problem for Kentucky is you've had a lot of fine seasons for Kentucky, but while you've been in the SEC, you haven't had this moment to point to of being like, yeah, we took down one of those teams. We took down one of those teams in the SEC. We took down what this would have been of beating a Georgia Bulldogs team who could be playing for a national title, who's only lost twice to Nick Saban, who you go out there every single day, game in and game out, and you look piss poor against South Carolina. You had one play, one moment that could have determined what it could have been for Kentucky, where you could point to, even if the season gets shit down the drain. Even if you look at
you're comparing what a win for Kentucky against Georgia would have been like, and you're
but
comparing
you
it
don't
to
have one of those.
What I'm saying is you're comparing it to your 2006 U of L season where you had both. This would not have been a both situation. This would have been a Rich Brooks LSU situation. We already
but you don't have one of those with Mark Stoops. You don't have one of those yet.
I agree with you. I 100% agree. This would have been his signature win. This would have been his signature win. However, this would not have put us in the 2006 U of L realm of, oh, now maybe we are in the ability to compete in the SEC. No, it's just a great win. It's like a Jeff Brom at Purdue win. You beat Ohio State. Guess what? You're probably going to lose next week. So, I 100% agree with you.
And those moments are so worth it.
But I agree with you. It would have been an amazing win. It would have been his signature win. Does that put us in this category that you're talking about with Jeff Brom, when they are actually not Jeff Brom, but Brian Brom, when they were literally about to go to the national championship game? No. Yeah. It just would have been a very awesome signature win. Let's be realistic with that, at least.
I think, that's fine. And I'll grant you that. That's fair. That's true. I think just overall, the worst part of this is you've had some fine seasons with him, even the 10-2 season, which unfortunately it was vacated, but we don't do that here. We don't believe in vacation. The 2013 title happened. We don't believe in that. The only time I do that is when Streeble gets
vacation. We just work.
I got a vacation next month. I'll finally take one. We ain't all going to St. Lucia like you. Even though I've been there first, but it was good. It was fun. It was great. But anyway, and no, they're good trips. But anyway, I think overall, there's another facet. I keep saying facet, but there's another part of this to me, which is the situation Kentucky fans currently sit in with Mark Stoops as their head coach, where it is the only way that I can really place it, the best way that I place it to me personally, is that Mark Stoops, you're doing the Scott Satterfield thing, not the quality coach, but you're doing the I got cheated on, and now I'm with the girl that cheated on me, who wants to be gone, who doesn't want to be here, doesn't want to be with me, just doesn't have somebody who's better than me, who is ready to take them in just yet. But you know it's coming. You know probably at the end of the season, maybe Florida State does it, maybe somebody else does it, but I don't want to be here.
No. Here's the thing.
He doesn't want to be here.
I think that you are in...
Outside of KS Bars slurping him up, nobody else wants him.
They haven't. If you have been looking at KSR is kind of taking a turn on that. They have not been trumpeting his praises this year. They have been very critical. But regardless,
they've been patting that booty a little bit. I saw the comment about the conservative play giving him, and they were right in that.
Look at the comments after the South Carolina game. It was very much. There was no fluff. It was very much like this was an all systems failure. But regardless, I feel like we are almost in a loveless marriage situation here where I don't know how many UK fans think that we can do better than Stoops, but I don't know where Stoops is going to go that's better than Kentucky at this point. Because Florida State, if A&M revolted the way they did about Stoops, Florida State is not, because Florida State is very prideful. They are not going to take Mark Stoops.
You don't think so? Remember, he was the defensive coordinator there before he came to Kentucky. I think there are some people there who have relationships with him.
Who remember him? Who was an assistant coach at UK?
I don't recall.
Kenny Payne. Do we want Kenny Payne?
I don't recall. I don't. We don't
Absolutely
say
not.
that name. We don't say that name here anymore. I don't even remember
Just
that.
because he coached there does not mean they want him back. Because we don't want Kenny Payne as our head coach, even though he was.
I had dementia for a couple of years. I don't remember any of that happening. I don't even know. Who's Kenny Payne? Who's this guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's this guy?
I mean, again, like we've got a South Carolina guy here in the chat, and he's saying Stoops is 35-57 in SEC play. I think his ceiling can be higher than that. Like under who? Like who did better than that? And again, who's gonna do better than that now that the SEC is what it is, and there's not these different. There's not the SEC West, SEC East. It used to be that if you've caught the SEC East in a down year, like Missouri, I think Missouri had a year where they won the SEC East. They got to the SEC championship game, got absolutely murdered. But that was UK's ceiling. That is the ceiling was find a year where the SEC East is down, surprise a couple people, go to the SEC championship game, and let Alabama just absolutely 50-piece you. That was the ceiling. Now the ceiling is you've got to play everybody, and it's going to be hard. Like, give me one coach that would have a winning record at UK in the SEC.
Laramie Tunsil
I don't know.
Looks rough. Sorry, I just saw Laramie Tunsil. He looks rough. Anyway, continue. Wait, who would have a winning record at UK in the SEC?
And I'm in the SEC. So we're taking out the Murray State games. We're taking
Nick
out
Saban.
U of L. We're taking out Ohio. Who's going to win the majority of their games in SEC play that would actually want to come to Kentucky? Like Urban Meyer's not coming here. Like,
well, some people would say old John Summerall. They believe is going to be the next coach to get them to the next level.
It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Hey, they looked all right. Was he at Tulane? And they gave what was that? Was that Oklahoma State they played? Who did they give a game? I think it was either Kansas State or Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State was Arkansas. I think it was Kansas State. So I mean, then Kansas State got bodied. No, Kansas State bodied Arizona. So I mean, I might be wrong. There's a lot of games I watched, a lot of games I have on, but I wouldn't say no to John Summerall.
Tulane got beat by Oklahoma 34-19, so not exactly competitive game.
Was that the one? No, wait. That was the last game, right?
They were competitive against Kansas State, but they got beat pretty darn good against Oklahoma last week. I mean, or yesterday.
Yeah. I just
34-19.
I understand.
If there was an obvious replacement,
that's not my job. My job isn't to say who is the guy who's going to be better than Mark Stoops. If you want to defend Mark Stoops, I get it, especially after having Mark Stoops be here as long as he has. I understand the appreciation for what Mark Stoops has done. Kentucky football hasn't been a blip on the roster or a blip on the SEC radar until now. And now it's a respected game. Heck, even though Kentucky's a lot of people haven't really thought a lot highly of them. If they didn't shit the bed against, as Herbstreit would say, spit the bed against South Carolina, that would have been the game. That would have been College game day. So
Correct.
I get that. I understand the appreciation for Mark Stoops, but I don't believe. I think a lot of things can be built because Kentucky has the SEC money, has the ability to give a coach what they need. It just frustrates me to believe that the ceiling is 35-57 in SEC play, and I understand a lot of that came during. Well, no,
but again, I go back to history.
To happen now, but it happened a lot early.
When has the ceiling been higher? That's what I'm going back to. Is like we say that, but under who? Like who has done better than Stoops? I'm not out here saying that Stoops has lit the world on fire. That he's been what Petrino was the first round for U of L. He's not been that. Like a solid B minus higher. Okay, like he's been fine. He's been good. He's been acceptable. But
and that's the point. That's the point right there. Sorry, Garnet Yardbird is pointing it out, and that is the biggest point. Money can make a lot of folks want to come to UK. Stoops is tied for 9th highest paid coach in the country, not the conference, but the whole damn country. They are paying him $9 million a season. $9 million a season. To basically go 7-5, have a couple 8-4s, maybe every once in a while you'll get 10-2, but otherwise they're just all they really demand is like 7-5, 8-4. Like, how many places will pay you that much damn money? He was battling with John Calipari. He got John Calipari basically kicked off of the campus.
That's ridiculous.
No.
Hold on. Do you actually? Let's get this on record. You believe the reason that John Calipari is not at Kentucky is because of Mark Stoops. I want to hear you absolutely say that.
I think there was a battle there, and I think that he got Mitch Barnhart to pick favorites.
It's not because John Calipari lost to Oakland. It's not because John Calipari underperformed. It's because the football coach Mark Stoops.
I think those are all factors. They're allowed to be factors, but I think at the same time he was trying to be Big D up against John Calipari multiple times and try to act like this is a football school. Nobody cares about basketball and getting his feelings hurt because of a basketball school. Historically, the greatest basketball program in the country is focused on basketball. He was upset about that.
If you think anyone in the world cared about what Mark Stoops thought of John Calipari and that's why he's in Arkansas right now, you're crazy.
I don't think that's specifically why he's at Arkansas. I think that's one of the factors that played into the reason that he decided to go bye-bye, head on out, even though he didn't really want to leave. He was walking his dog to make you all be like, look how sad you're going to miss me when I'm not walking my dog in the stroller, walking down Richmond Road, and you can't see me anymore. And then people still didn't want it. But I get it.
I just want to clear the air. Mark Stoops had absolutely nothing to do with John Calipari not being the head coach of Kentucky. John Calipari.
You think 0%?
Zero. I mean, yes, 0%. The way you said it, you said Mark Stoops got him kicked off campus, which that's outrageous.
Okay, I'm being a little obtuse.
Being a little
obtuse. I'm being a little obtuse.
Being a little Stephen A. out here.
No, I'm not Stephen A. I'm being a little obtuse, but at the same time, I think he played a factor in the John Calipari saga. And if you don't believe that, I don't know what to tell you.
The saga, he had nothing to do with John Calipari losing his job or leaving his job. Like none. Like no one. Like it was very much like drama.
Daddy Mitch.
If you have to say that John Calipari leaving had nothing to do with losing to Oakland, had nothing to do with losing to the Peacocks, had nothing to do with failures.
I didn't say it didn't have anything to do with those things.
Well, I'll tell you what had nothing to do with it. I'll tell you what had nothing to do with it.
They are parts of it.
Mark Stoops had nothing to do with John Calipari not being our coach. Nothing.
Bullshit.
To do with it.
I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all. I think once
if John Calipari wins, no one listens to Mark Stoops. All John Calipari had to do was win. He didn't win.
Nobody wanted to give John. You've seen all the issues when it came to money, and now that John Calipari's gone, people are willing to give money to big old Popey Boy. And right now, Popey Boy has done fine. He's gotten 2 players. I would like to see how he does recruiting big picture people that didn't grow up as Kentucky fans.
Let's just hope Mark Stoops likes him, because if Mark Stoops doesn't like Pope, then he's definitely gone, right? Like Mark Stoops makes all the decisions. He's basically the AD, essentially, right?
At this point, he basically is. He has control. He has Mitch Barnhart by the testicles. This is the way I look at it at this point, even though he's still asking for more money.
I feel like you've been drinking more than I have.
I've been drinking a lot today. Anyway, no. Jared Disney, everyone wanted Cal gone. Cal was getting the number 1 recruiting class in the country year after year and couldn't get past the first round. My question is, my problem with that is I agree with you, but at one point did nobody say, hey, bring in, like, at least during that span of time when you were going to be, you felt like you were being held hostage because you gave him this contract and you couldn't just tell John Calipari he was fired, you pay him out. At what point did anybody just say, hey, let's force him to bring somebody in, a Larry Brown kind of guy, and somebody like that who will come in and give you a little bit of more coaching expertise of where you're failing? That's what I want. And I hate to go, because I always try to keep it away from just going to Louisville, but like with Rick Pitino when he had Ralph Willard there, a guy like that who would actually give him and be like, man, you're being a dumbass here. Here's what you need to do. That's what I wanted. This isn't a basketball conversation. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to just talk basketball, but okay. Here we go. People, Stoops wants Barnhart to give him and his staff more than necessary raises. He pretty much doesn't care anything about anything else on campus. I agree with that. I agree. He is squeezing it all out. He's just everything he can get. Mark Pope is doing fine.
Why should he care about what else is going on campus? Like, again, like if I want my football coach to care about one thing, and that's the football team. Like, cool, that's great if you want to do some charity, and get with the students, fine. Ultimately, I want my football coach to care about the football team. So I don't care if you are partying on campus or how involved you are. But again, I'm not sitting here to argue that Stoops is the best thing that's ever happened in Kentucky football. I'm just saying I don't think that there's an obvious person who could do a better job at Kentucky given the circumstances. Kentucky does not have the NIL money that's far and above what Tennessee's putting out there. That's far above what Texas is putting out there. Like, yes, he's the 9th highest paid coach, in the country. He's well paid. So, yeah, I don't know if he deserves the money he's getting. But at the same time, these other SEC schools have just as much, if not more, NIL money that they are pumping into their programs.
Then
So
why are they paying him to just be a middling coach at this point?
Yeah.
Like, is that the goal? Is that what we?
No, I mean that's a fair. If you're going to argue that he's overpaid, I'm not going to argue that. Like, he may be overpaid, but do we really?
He is grossly overpaid.
Okay, fine, but do we really think that we're going to get a better coach? If you can tell me Urban Meyer's coming tomorrow, sign me up. I'd say fire Stoops tomorrow. Like, but if you're telling me the best we can do is like Summerall, who just like got his ass kicked by another SEC team that we're going to have to end up playing.
Tulane against Oklahoma. Tulane against Oklahoma.
UK is basically Tulane right now. Like, we are basically Tulane. I mean, it is what it is.
Man,
like, it is what
you
it
have
is.
more. You
Again,
have so much more money.
I am not happy with Stoops. I think he has done a poor job this season so far. My worry, and I was talking to someone the other day about this, my worry is that Stoops possibly checked out after the whole A&M fiasco. Like, he thought he was gone. He was like, cool, I really got my bag. I've got my new destination. And then turns out, just kidding, you're stuck in Lexington. And then maybe he checked out. That was my worry. Because Stoops has always been fully invested. Like, he has always been, even when he took over for Joker Phillips, and we knew we were going to be just god-awful. Like, he was as fiery on the sidelines as you could be, even though he knew his team was just complete crap. I'm not seeing that same fire anymore, and that's what worries me about Stoops is he still as invested as he was previously, or is he checked out and he actually is looking for another position?
Oh, no, I think without a doubt. God, how do I forget this? I make these graphics. I put graphics up here, and I totally forget to put the graphic on there. The entire time we're damn near an hour into the show, and I've forgotten to do this. Guys, I've neglected to tell you all and to like push things a little bit. Do me a favor. If you're on Facebook, smash the freaking like button. If you haven't already, if you haven't too, go to the YouTube channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join our community there. We're going to bring a lot more stuff there down the line. And hopefully we're going to try to do a lot more cool things here on this platform that we have of ESPN Louisville Plus. If you haven't already, reminder, tune in to the Roundtable Presents ESPN Louisville Plus College Football Fridays with James Strebel, Max Godby, and I have his word that Justin Jeffries will be there again this Friday. So tune in for that. We're going to have that show. We maybe have another special guest or so. I'm not sure. Last time we had Anna Tarullo and Matt McGavick join in as well. So definitely make sure you do that. Make sure you tune in, hitting the like button, subscribing to the YouTube channel, all that good stuff. We appreciate all of the support that we get here on this platform. Couple other parts of this. I think the job is, that's what you pay the athletic director to do, is to locate somebody who will end up being that guy. That's one thing that obviously I'm not trying to give him more credit than he deserves, but Tom Jurich was great at that at Louisville for the most part, outside of Steve Crackthorpe.
He was the best. I mean that's serious.
I think you said go get him back. I think you said
no,
that.
I'm saying he was the best. Like, when, and I've said this to you before, when you guys fired Patino, I was like, oh, nice. Like, cool. Like, he was a good coach. I'm glad he's gone. When you all fired Jurich, I was like, let's go. It's over. Like, it's over.
And I have felt like that for a long time. I'm not saying I'm still there, because I'm gonna get that phone call if I say that. Don't call me. Don't tase me, bro. Here's the thing. I think they're doing some really good things at the university now. Jeff Brom, I have confidence. I think he's a really good coach, and I think he gives you. It helps having a guy who's, again, if it weren't for Jeff Brom, who's a proven coach at Purdue, look what's happening to Purdue right now. They got 60 piece by Notre Dame, who is a fine program, but I won't believe in Notre Dame, especially after the Northern Illinois debacle. Huh?
You shouldn't get 60 piece by that team. Like, Notre Dame is okay. Like you said, Notre Dame's fine. They're a fine program. They shouldn't drop 60 on anybody.
Yeah, not let Riley Leonard do that to you. And did he get pulled? I can't remember if he got pulled halfway through the game or not. I don't care. It's Riley Leonard. And I'm not worried about him. Just like Louisville beat his ass at Duke. They're going to do it there, just like they beat what's his name? Who was that at Wake Forest? Sam Hartman. Beautiful man. But at the same time, could not beat Louisville at Wake Forest or at Notre Dame either. So I'm not worried about that. Let me read a couple of these. I joined a bit late. Who's the UK honk? This is my guy, Dwight Young. No, Wegs is a good guy. Wegs is a good guy. He calls Streeble honk too. He loves Streeble. So he's a good supporter. He's always been around for all our stuff. Appreciate you tuning in, my guy. Good seeing you Friday there at Boomba's when we did the show live from there. Unfortunately, we got about an hour into the show and then the lights went off. Like literally, power got cut to Boomba's and like the entire street. So at least we got an hour in.
So let's do a prediction. Let's do a prediction. Is Stoops the Kentucky coach next year?
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. That's actually what I wanted to get into. No, I don't think he is.
You don't think he is? Now, do you think it's him leaving? Do you think it's him being pushed out?
No, I think it's all in the power of Daddy Stoops, and I think Stoops is going to. I think he is in the process. Like I said, right now, I think he is that girlfriend, that cheating girlfriend who wants to find the next guy, but is just stuck with you in the meantime until he can make that move. And I think if it's Iowa, if it's Florida State.
So I don't disagree with you that he wants to go. I think that the A&M thing showed that. However, after this season, and again, not getting the Georgia win, now things may have changed. Had he might have cost himself as much, happiness by losing to Georgia as he cost UK fans. Because if he beats Georgia, like maybe an FSU is looking at him. But if he finishes the season with 4 wins or 5 wins, or not Georgia, I'm sorry, FSU. But if he finishes the season with 4 wins, 5 wins, no chance FSU gives him an opportunity. No chance. I don't even know if an Iowa would give him a chance. So like I don't think that there's going to be a ton of like suitors for him if he finishes with 4 or 5 wins, which I think is the more likely outcome. I don't know if we're going to go bowling. We have a very hard schedule. We've got Ohio. You have to assume Ohio's a win. You have to assume Murray's a win. Those are the only 2 wins that you can really circle and say those are going to happen. You would hope Vandy. That's 3. And then Florida looks really bad, but then so do we. So it's kind of like I think we're looking at 5 wins, 6 if we beat Louisville, but like it could easily be 4.
So Vandy got blasted by a Maxon team, right?
Correct. So we could win Vandy. Vandy is a winnable game.
Vandy is a coin flip because are you getting the team that showed up against Virginia Tech? Right. And I'm not going to pretend like I think Virginia Tech's a great team, but it's still Virginia Tech. It's still a team that should beat Vanderbilt, right?
Correct. Now, and I'm not saying that Vandy will beat us, but they could. Like they could win. I'm actually saying when I say I think the UK is going to get 5 wins, I'm actually including Vandy.
Okay.
So I'm including. So we already have 1 win. I've got Ohio, Vandy. I think we beat Florida, but maybe not. But I
think you beat Napes. I don't believe in Billy Napier. Billy Napier's done. Lane Kiffin's going to be the head coach of Florida by the end of the year. It's perfect.
Murray, and that's it. Like literally, that's it. Like that's 5 wins.
There's somebody else. There's somebody else.
U of L. That's our best shot.
No,
literally.
Well, I guess Vandy's the one. I'll give him Auburn. I think
Auburn will beat us.
Auburn got beat by Cal.
We got killed by South Carolina. Killed at home.
Okay.
So we are going to lose. We are going to lose to Auburn. And Cal, Cal is a good team.
Wait, do I have the whistle? There's no whistle blowing here.
I'm letting you talk. You really don't have to blow anything unless you like to, which go for it.
I don't have anything to blow. Save that. Anyway, here's my question to you. No, he said no disrespect to you. He just wasn't sure who you were. So there you go. No disrespect.
No respect. No disrespect to the honk.
Put the gun down. Anyway, okay. Here's another part of my question. Then I don't know how I look at Kentucky right now because is the
Hold
team?
on, time out. I got to hear in the comments. We have a commenter that just had the hottest take of all time.
This
UK
one?
will have 6 wins before the U of L game. Please tell me what those are. I would sign up.
I'll tell you what it is because I did it today, and I think so too. I think UK beats.
No way.
I think they beat Ohio. I think they beat Vandy. I think they beat Florida. I think they beat Auburn. I think, and you already have Southern Miss, and then I think they end up beating Murray State. Right there, it is 6. I think they beat. I think they beat.
All right. So you're saying Southern Miss.
Southern
You're
Miss.
saying Ohio. You're saying Vandy.
Yep.
Florida.
I think Florida.
Auburn, Murray State.
Okay, here's the thing. That's what I think. I think people are picking that. It's like I think Bubba Neer's picking what I'm picking. Here's the problem. I think Stoops is more likely that he'll drop one of those 3. He'll drop one of Vandy, Florida, but Florida. I think I don't believe in Billy Napier at all. I think they win that game, but I think between Florida and Auburn, not Florida, Vanderbilt and Auburn, he probably drops one. Vandy's one of those weird ones. No matter how bad Vandy is, they'll just get Kentucky.
So
it doesn't make sense.
5. So if what you're saying is what you're saying, that's 5.
Then I go back to 5. So, but he's picking them to win all of those.
And I agree with you. I think that they will have 5 wins going into the U of L game, and I think U of L wins. And so that's a 5-win season. No one's going to want a coach that just got 5 wins, unless he's willing to go literally to like a nobody. But there's no FSU. If you tell me FSU would rather have a 5-win Mark Stoops, even though they're having a nightmare season, they still went undefeated last year. Like you can't just throw out the fact that they went undefeated and then take a coach that just went 5 wins and has literally been mediocre his entire tenure at UK. Like there's just no chance FSU would go for that.
I don't know. Personally, I think I was picking FSU. Here's the thing. I think yesterday, if UK wins that game yesterday against Georgia, I think it's done because I think you've proven that he can win a game against a big team, and I think everything.
If I had wheels, I'd be a wagon.
But everybody loves to do that thing where, outside of what you and I think, people nationally will look at it and be like, "Well, of course it was at Kentucky. That's why he struggled. That's why he couldn't win those games because he's at Kentucky." If he's here, we expect him to do so much better.
He had turned UK into a consistent, like 9-10 win team. But no one's going to say, "Oh, look, he won 5 games at Kentucky. Let's give him FSU, who's won a championship in recent memory." No chance.
Yeah.
But I could see him leaving. I just don't think that there's going to be a lot of suitors out there. I'm not saying he's not going to leave. He may leave. I just don't think there's a ton of people that are just going to be dying to get Mark Stoops football coach. I don't see it.
Well, we can agree on this. First opportunity that is appealing to him, he's probably gone. Because I think at this point in his career,
I agree.
He's getting too old to not accomplish whatever is going to be the mountaintop for him in his career. He needs to do it soon.
Well, he's been at UK long enough that whatever he was going to achieve at UK, he would have achieved by now, right?
And
like
that's the wildest aspect to me.
Whatever ceiling you want to think UK has or doesn't have, they do have a ceiling under Mark Stoops. I think we can agree with that. And I think Mark Stoops realizes that I've been here long enough. I have peaked. I have hit as high as I can get UKs, and that's totally fine. I get that. But I think that is why he's going to ultimately leave is because he realizes that he cannot do anything else at UK. It is what it is at this point.
Almost what's more shocking to me is honestly, the entire process, the fact that once he got UK kind of, respectable, it was kind of shocking to me that just being a Louisville fan and having experienced it time after time after time, I was surprised that he never was picked up. Like he never did the stepping stone kind of thing early on when he was more viable. And I understand being at Kentucky and just being in the SEC and having that influx of income because of what the TV deals and all that brings in, it makes it a comfortable place. And you're going to tell me I can go play, go 7-5 and just make a bowl game. And for the majority of fans, they're content because of how bad everything was before he got here, kind of thing. Jared,
how much? And I'm curious. So, like, we have the South Carolina, fan in the chat who's, saying he wants Stoops to hang around so they can continue to beat Stoops. I get that because you all have beaten Stoops the past 3 years.
Yeah.
How much though, as a U of L fan, would you actually like to see Stoops leave because he's had success against U of L?
I said this when I was producing The Take with Andy Sweeney and James Strebel. I said this on there because I think a lot of fans don't want to say this because people don't want to respect Stoops. They don't want, and this was a couple years ago, and they don't want to respect Kentucky football. But here's the one thing that I respect the freaking hell out of when it comes to Stoops. He may not put it together for the majority of the season, but if you can give him one moment, Cal did the same thing with Louisville too. He gets up for that game. I don't care what it is. He finds a way to motivate his players. And it's kind of, I had this in a note. We don't really need to talk about it, but I can bring it up now. And the one thing that he kind of did, even when he's the underdog in these situations, even when Louisville is the team that, when Lamar was the Heisman, when, some of the earlier games, what's his name, through a trash can? When that stuff happens, what he does is the brand of Mark Stoops, which is mucking it up early. And as disrespectful as I think that is, and how before I would probably get all of my soapbox and be all high and mighty of how disgusting it is that Mark Stoops has to go resort to starting fights and brawls and trying to muck it up. It freaking works. Yeah. I give him credit. It works. He did it to Georgia. Very first possession. First drive, not first possession. Mm-hmm. First drive. There's a fight out there in the middle of the field. And it's what he does, but you know what? It's great. It's great because look how much it evened the playing field. No matter who you're playing against, he finds a way to get in their heads. And I'm shocked that it works as well as it does.
Stoops knows. Again, I think I've said this on the last time I was on here. Stoops knows that at UK, you will never get fired if you go to a bowl and you beat U of L. If you do those two things, you will have job security for life. And so I think that's part of it is he knows hey, this game is job security. Yeah. Get to a bowl, beat U of L, and you can coach at UK as long as you want. That's unfortunately, again, I would love it if we had higher standards. I would love it if our ceiling was higher and that we had aspirations of playoffs. But in reality, they're going to keep a coach around if they do those two things.
The best thing that ever happened to Stoops was Louisville getting into the ACC and then moving that game to the end of the season. Because if it happens at the beginning of the season and they win that game, you forget by the time November, 100%. December rolls around. And the fact 100%. Is, last season, everybody was fucking furious with Stoops. They were done with him. Nobody wanted to see Mark Stoops back in Kentucky, and that's the reason why he was trying. That's not the main reason, but it is a reason why he was trying to book that flight and book that landing spot in Texas A&M. And the same day that he beat Louisville, but also beating Louisville, unfortunately for me, makes everything better. It's a cure-all for people. It gives them a little bit of dementia of what just happened. And I get it.
True. No, it's 100% true.
Garnet Yardbirds says Stoops has never even taken Kentucky to ATL. And he's not going to because of the splitting of the divisions now, probably.
100%.
But
100%.
But that's so hard to do. It's I'll give him credit. It's the SEC. I will say this, and I've said this too, man, as much as people like to do the conference, whatever thing, I don't care about the conference. Louisville's in a conference where they can make it to the playoff now, so I'm okay with it. But I ain't gonna lie anymore. When it comes to, there's two conferences that are great now when it comes to SEC and the Big Ten. And the Big Ten, I don't give a damn. I think the Big Ten's musty, and it doesn't interest me at all. There's very little chance, even though how great are the teams that are in there too, I'm probably not gonna sit down and watch Big Ten football. But I've spent the last two.
You don't like it. You don't like when they run and then they run and then they run and then they punt.
They run and they just keep running.
You don't like that?
Yes. Yeah. I'm not watching Purdue Rutgers. I'm not getting out for Purdue Rutgers. I'm sorry. Even when Michigan State plays those teams, I don't care.
The first team to fumble in the other team's territory, and then you'll get a field goal. That team's going to win the game. Otherwise, it's just a battle of field position. I love it. It's the best hangover cure of all time. Just watching run, punt. Just over and over again.
But I will say, especially now being a dad, you do the family trip to Florida every year now. Usually maybe a couple times just going to Florida. So every time on the trip down, if we're driving instead of flying, we stop in Alabama, you stop in Tennessee, and man, it gets in your veins. You can kind of feel it. And no offense to I mean, no offense to Kentucky when I say this, but like Lexington ain't the same as in the real South. Because like it's football every day. You know what I mean? Like you can feel it. They all live that way. So anyway, let me touch on a couple of these these chats. What's up, my guy Julian Genotti from back when I was on the Bianconeri Zone? They kicked me out. That's not what happened. But anyway, he says thoughts on Louisville women's volleyball team. What are your thoughts on me being right years after making the claim, Lamar? Yeah. Shut up, Julian. But about the Louisville women's volleyball team, man, don't do this to me. I respect it and I love it. I think they're a good team, but I ain't watching volleyball. I'm sorry. I know people are going to crucify me or going to get mad at me because I don't care about volleyball at that level. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. If they get to if they get back to a championship run or something like that, I'll watch it. I'll tune in. But it's just not the sport for me and a day in, day out grind.
Lamar did have a bad game. He's right about that.
Yeah, well, that happens.
1-2.
Yeah, well, that happens.
So, how are we feeling? I know I want to just we'll pivot because I know we've been harping on UK so much, and rightly so because they gave us so much, fodder.
Mm-hmm.
How are we feeling? Like all of U of L's opponents on their schedule, other than Miami, has looked less than what we thought they would. Does that make you are you getting a little bit more optimistic about playoffs? Are we thinking you were a little bit cautious when we did our season preview, but now that you're seeing Notre Dame go down to what was it, NIU?
We're Northern Illinois.
Clemson getting just destroyed by Georgia. So we're seeing some of your all's opponents going down early. Are we thinking playoffs or bust? Is it a failure of a season if you don't make the playoffs?
I know what you're doing. I know what you're setting
I'm just
up.
asking.
I feel you setting up because this is going to be great for weeks from now when then you can come at me. But I get it. Here's the honest truth. I mean, I think a lot of people had to have this take a couple weeks ago. But coming out of, was it week 1 even? Week 1 or week 2? I think it was week 1 though. Even I think we kind of sat back and looked at it, given the domination by Georgia, and. Well, it's weird for me to say this because after what Kentucky was able to do against Georgia, right? And I tweeted out yesterday at the end of the night, I was like, Kentucky football better than Clemson. That's the only thing I can say at this point.
Maybe. We should have beat them in the bowl game last year, but we Stoops them.
Yeah, I don't know if that's accurate, but at the same time, then the next week Clemson comes out and handles. I mean, again, I know it's Appalachian State, App State, whatever. That's fine. But they dominated them. 60. They had 40 points by halftime. Ended up being 60 to whatever, something like that. They looked a bit more of what I expect from Clemson, and I kind of chalked it up to Georgia being this animal. I'm gonna have to have a couple more weeks to see what Georgia really is, to see if this is once again a blip of Kentucky and Mark Stoops, and he goes. I don't want to say soft because I think Kentucky earned their place in this game, but I still don't know what Kentucky is either. So, but right now, when it comes to Louisville in the ACC, outside of Clemson making some run to show their dominance is resurgent, it's between Louisville and Miami for the ACC. And the good thing,
how big is that game going to be?
Well, and now
how big?
I do love, and I do want to say I love that game has been instilled as a rivalry game now. It's full on
crack pipe game.
It's the no, it's not. I know we did this last year. That's a throwback to the Now We Can Talk Like Clay Travis podcast that we did. Dwight doesn't know the joke whenever I say that because they called it because it sounds very Clay Travisy when I said Now We Can Talk Like Men. I guess to some people, but I love that podcast anyway. The thing is, they're playing for the boots, the golden boots or whatever of Snellenberger. I still don't understand why it's not a pipe. It should be a pipe.
It should be a pipe.
Sometimes we like to play for that pipe. Who's going to get the pipe tonight? Anyway, I think, though, obviously the best thing is that Louisville's playing Miami at home, right? So to me, the pressure's on for Jeff Brom. He's got to win that game. But I think, I feel confident this is a season, especially after last season, that I feel like Louisville, that's the goal.
It's the goal, but is it a failure of a season if they don't make the playoffs?
No, it's not a failure. It's not. The reason I say that is because I am of the belief, and people don't like this, and I see Ashton Stoops to FSU. Ashton said that, just so you know, Ashton Bailey. Stoops was going to the FSU, so that's where he's going. It's done. If Ashton said it, it's done. Also,
If
guys,
Ashton
if you haven't already,
it's the opposite will happen.
It's never going to happen. Do me a favor, guys. Smash the like button, subscribe on YouTube, all that good stuff. Resetting. When it comes to Louisville, I look at this Louisville team, and while a lot of people, I get it, they settled in. The defense only gave up 100 yards in the second half, again, against Jacksonville State. But at the same time, I saw enough that worried me in that second quarter defensively. When Diener and Blank, you want to get on me, but it happened. 3 defenders got truck sticked. 3 defenders by that quarterback. That's worrisome to me. And I worry about what, if I don't know if my guy, Lawrence is in here, but Ron English worries me as a defensive coordinator. He did some nice things last season. I believe that the unit's still not a bad unit. Save that. But at the same time, I am worried that the last 3 games that we saw last season is really what this defense is. And that's something that worries me. There's a lot of good pieces on there, but I don't have supreme confidence in that. So that's the one thing keeping me from saying that I expect Louisville to make the playoff. But right now, this is probably as good of an opportunity as you're going to have as the head coach.
It's a great opportunity. You got Miami standing in your way. One last hypothetical for you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather? I love this game.
I love.
Would
Freddie
you
Cash,
rather lose? So let's say you're undefeated all season until you get to Kentucky. You lose to Kentucky, but you still get to go to the playoffs because you won the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
First game of the playoffs, you get crushed. You're out. Okay, but you made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Or would you rather just barely miss the playoffs because you lost to Miami? Maybe you drop one other game. You miss out on the playoffs, but you slam Kentucky. So you don't make the playoffs just because Miami squeezes by you. ACC maybe only gets 1 bid, but you destroy Kentucky. Which outcome would you rather have?
In this hypothetical, is Louisville losing to Kentucky when they go to the playoff?
Yes, that's your only loss. Now you get to the playoffs. You get to the playoff first game of the playoff, you get crushed. So it's not like you advance in the playoffs, but you make the playoff.
I like this. I like this scenario. I think Ethan Moore kind of had something similar personally, and I think so much of this has to do with the years leading up to this. I'm picking slamming Kentucky because at this point, regardless of the vacation, five seasons in a row. And again, it's Scott Satterfield, but at the same time, it's 5 seasons. Last year, U of L should have won that game. If Jack Plummer's not a bum, and if a few things go right, don't fall apart like they did, Louisville is winning that game. U of L, the rivalry has to be reset at this point for it to be. But you know what I mean? Like every single time, it's usually about 5. Nobody's gotten over 5 in a row or something. It was. I think it's 5 in a row. If I want to say in the past, I think at this point Louisville needs to reset the rivalry. I think Louisville needs to bring the Governor's Cup home, and I think you kind of need to get that going, and that needs to be rectified first for the fans. As much as going to the playoff, let me finish. As much as going to the playoff would be fun and would be great, would be cool to say that you're in the playoff. Going there and losing doesn't do a lot for me, but at the same time, I also have this feeling currently. With the development of the playoff, if you're a team like Kentucky, or let me just say, if you're a team like Kentucky, where you're going into the season really without even kind of like a hope that you can really make the playoff, you know what I mean? Like, what am I playing for all season? Like, what am I playing for? So that's where it makes it a little bit difficult for me. But I think if all things are even, and say UK won the last one, but Louisville and UK traded them back and forth for like 4 years before that, I'd go playoff. But given the current circumstances, Louisville needs to win that game.
I think
it's a must-win for Jeff Brown.
Because it looks like some people in the chat disagree with you, and I'm very curious because I think this would be a very good poll. I would love.
This is a great poll. We love this poll. This is the best poll you all have ever seen.
No, I just think that would be. It's a very interesting scenario, like because obviously you land one way, people in the chat are looking to lean another way. I wonder how much of that is the fact that you guys, you just mentioned this, You want a reset of the rivalry. Like, I don't know if your answer would be the same if U of L had won the last 2 years. You know what I mean? Because you're like, we've beaten Kentucky recently. Been there, done that. But the fact that you've lost the majority of the games here recently, I think that plays into it. So I would be curious as to know.
I'm making a poll right now. Keep it going.
Okay.
As a U of L fan, which scenario are you picking? The poll is only going to be on YouTube. So if you're watching this anywhere else, you got to go over to the YouTube channel. So just so you know, go over to the YouTube channel. Louisville beats Kentucky. No pee off. No pee off. Loss to UK playoff. But it is keeping the scenario of first round loss, right?
Yeah, exactly. First round of the playoff, you get slaughtered.
Okay.
But you've won every game except the UK game in the regular season.
Okay. They only let you say so much in the thing, so I'm gonna go ahead and we're putting that poll out there right now. I'm putting my poll out there. Let me know what you all think, and we will review that as the results come in. So yeah, let's go ahead and see how that works out. Polls up. Let me know your all thoughts. In the meantime, if you haven't already, smash the freaking like button, hit the subscribe button, go to the YouTube channel. You got to do that to put in your input of what you think in that poll. Let me read some of the comments on there. Aaron Stollard says, Justin Sovero, where did you find Diet Max Godby? That's good. Just grow a mustache and you.
I don't know if that's an insult or not, but whatever.
No, Godby is the one. Man,
I know who he is.
Okay.
Yeah, he played center at UK. He went to Christian Academy too.
Okay.
He was like a couple years below me.
Yeah. By no means is it a bad season if U of L doesn't make the playoffs and gets to 10 wins. Who knows what the SEC committees will do with wins and losses being year one. Who knows what the SEC... you're saying the committee. You're saying that's the SEC that's in control of letting people in. Got it. Okay. But Nero, U of L schedule laid out...
I mean, if U of L... I feel like if U of L would have a very hard time having a beef of not making the playoffs if they only have 10 wins. You know what I mean? Like, if you all drop 2 games, say it's Miami and Notre Dame or whoever, it'd be hard to have too much of a beef of not making the playoffs, given what your strength of schedule is.
No, I agree with that. I do agree with that. Well, actually, here's the problem. I think now with the expanded playoff, because there's 12 teams, every champion makes it. So like Florida State makes it. If last year happens this year, Florida State makes it, no question, because it's an automatic,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
So
12 teams.
That's my line of thinking of like, I don't care anymore. I don't care how. I hope every team's dog crap that Louisville plays, because then you're making it to the playoff. Then just worry about the playoff. Just go there and get the job done. Bubanero, U of L schedule layout is going to cause them to lose games. Having a bye right now is stupid, and their hardest games are in the upcoming 7-game run. Just 2 losses if lucky. Man, I don't know. I think that's kind of negative. That's kind of negative for me.
Kind of negative. Why are you being so negative?
Why are you being such a bleeping downer, Bubanero?
Positive vibes only. What are you doing? Get out of here.
Why are you going to bring the vibes down to the channel, bro? If U of L's only lost is UK, then they win the ACC in that scenario. You take it.
See, he thinks the other way.
Oh, okay. This does bring up. Okay, this changes a lot of things, because if you're saying Louisville's only lost is the UK, that means Louisville has won the ACC title. In that scenario, I probably have to walk this back, because I forgot about that. The Governor's Cup, as much as that is important, and I think, and I am not going to shy away from the importance of it, you got to win that game. But if you lose the UK and then you have an ACC title that you can claim, regular season and in the championship game, well, I guess it's only in the championship game, right? I guess there's no in football. There's no regular season one like basketball.
Right.
You have a title. Shit.
You're changing your
mind. At that point, yeah. I'm man. Here I am. I'm John Kerry.
Yeah, you are.
I'm waffling or whatever they said he did. Yeah, exactly. I think in that scenario, then
I feel like that would. I mean, I think if I was in your position, if I was a UL fan, I would take the playoffs and take the loss to UK. I think that's what I would do. But you have to admit that would still leave a bad taste in your mouth. Like, that would still, like, you'd be like, hey, we made the playoffs, won the ACC, felt great, even though you lose the very first round of the playoffs. But that's got to just still leave a little bit of a bitter, like, we still freaking lost to Stoops. Like, it's still got to feel bad.
Yeah.
And you're going to hear, and obviously, like, UK fans will obviously just rub it in your face and be like, you didn't play in a real conference. Like, congrats on your playoff berth because you played nobody.
That's one of the parts that's going
to be the dialogue.
But I don't care as much about the, like, you didn't play in a real conference thing anymore, because at this point you're in a conference that gets you to where you need to be. So who cares? You know what I mean? Like, at this point, it'd be different. I understand when you're playing the competition that UK's playing, but like going out there and getting your ass kicked every day isn't exactly anything that I brag about either. So that's my personal thing. Right now,
I don't disagree with you. I just think a lot of people, the losing to UK part would just have to just leave a taste. I would now, again, like, maybe it doesn't leave as much of a bad taste if you, like, win a game in the playoffs, like you do a little bit of a run. But if you're like, oh, we made the playoffs, we got to the playoffs, we got murdered, and we also lost to our biggest rival again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
not to say it would be a bad season by any stretch, but it would be hard to just swallow that loss.
I think I see, and that's where I at this point, as long as the ACC title is there, you're winning the ACC title. I think that's kind of it for me. So I think that confirms it. Like, I'm picking the ACC title and the playoff berth. If you take the ACC championship out of it and it's just you can still make the playoffs somehow, or you beat Kentucky, it's Kentucky. It's beating Kentucky in that point. Because if you're just going to go play one and out, to me, it's the same as losing in just a bum-ass bowl game that I don't care about, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. So the tiebreaker, what pushes it over the edge to you is the ACC title. That's what really
the fact that you'll have an ACC trophy that you can put in the trophy case. Because that's a big difference. All right, we're about to wrap it up anyway. Bubba Nero says it sucks locally, but winning the ACC is more important nationally for the program and for recruiting. So I think that is a good point. I think that's going to do it. I mean, we've been going here strong for about an hour and a half now. Good little show. We had a lot of people tune in, and I appreciate everybody. Let me go ahead and just close that poll as it looks right now. The winning, and I think most people are watching it on Twitter. They are watching it on YouTube, but we have Louisville beats Kentucky winning that poll for now. So anyway, I think this is going to do it, guys. If you haven't already,
wait, say that again. Louisville beating Kentucky.
They are picking Louisville beating Kentucky. Yeah,
and missing the playoffs. Wow, yeah. That's surprising.
They picked that. Right. Given the reset and the expectations, and giving the reset in the and what it means for us, I'm still going to say Louisville losing to Kentucky but winning the ACC title. That's the bigger part to me, and I think right now. But this year, Jeff Fromm's got to get it done. It's just that he's got to get it done. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, if you haven't already, do me a solid favor. I know a lot of people watching on the rewatch. Make sure you smash the like button while you're here. Hit the subscribe button. Do that right now over here on the YouTube channel. Even if you're on Facebook, hit the like there as well. You can follow me at Justin Sofer on Twitter. I had it here if you for some reason need to have it up there. I know I got it up here somewhere. I can get it up. There it is. Right there. You can follow me at Justin Sofer on Twitter. You can follow him at DD Young 2. DD Young 2. If you feel so inclined. Also, you can follow ESPN Louisville at ESPN Louisville on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff. If you haven't already, do that right now. Guys, Dwight, any final words?
Bourbon Company, go pick this up. And if you are a bourbon fan like myself, let me know what you'd like me to sip on the next time I'm talking about how sad I am the UK lost. So
exactly. I can't wait for that moment. You guys, it's been a blast. Appreciate you all as always. If you haven't already, do all those things. We will see you guys next time here on ESPN Louisville Plus.